Josh and Frankie. What a couple of dumb shits. Hello, Primates! You found Primus tracks. Congratulations! There are many places to find Primus tracks. In addition to this podcast, you can go to @PrimusTracks on Instagram. You can go to @PrimusTracks on Threads. If you dare, you can go to a Facebook page that's titled Primus Tracks. You can also email us, primustrackspod@gmail.com. I am Dr. Josh Bald, one of the hosts of Primus Tracks. He has returned from his sojourn to the Bay Area. He's back on the 39th floor of Primus Tracks Towers in one piece, but he has so much to say about his experience. It's Frankie Berestein.
Hey.
I should have identified you as Encyclopedia Frankie Berestein, as you have been dubbed. Good to see you again, Frankie, in a virtual space after hanging with you for a couple evenings in Oakland. We are, of course, going to recap the Primus New Year's Eve experience, December 30 and 31 of 2025. So, Frankie, how was your trip out there? Now, I know you had some pre-show activities that I was not party to, given that I had family obligations. So, this year, how was the trip?
Absolutely fantastic. So, we did our annual pilgrimage to Dee's Diner. I finally had a Dee's Diner hamburger, and it was absolutely glorious. The year before, I made the mistake of, I mean, it wasn't bad, but you don't go to Dee's Diner to eat a turkey sandwich. So I amended that mistake by ordering a hamburger this time, and it was absolutely fantastic. Overall, it was, and I need to give, of course, a special shout out to Kevin. Kevin really really enhanced my trip on this occasion. Thank you, Kevin. We went for a walk to Lake Merritt twice. I went back there a third time on my own before departing, and it was such a wonderful experience. So nice. Kevin and I agreed that on subsequent trips, we will continue taking our power walks.
Very nice. You had a power walk partner.
Yes.
So question for you, Frankie, taking your power walks around Lake Merritt, every time you passed the Scottish Rite Center, did you stop and cross yourself?
I did.
Very good. Of course, the sausage video, Riddles Are Abound Tonight, was filmed there, and that's why Frankie would prostrate himself in front of that building.
I also want to thank Kevin for opening my eyes to the revelation that was Ike's sandwiches.
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with Ike's. Interesting.
I am embarrassed to admit that I used to have Subway every now and then while visiting the U.S., After because it's better there than it's here.
Okay.
But that's not saying a lot. Now that I've discovered Ike's sandwiches, I will never set foot on a Subway ever again in my entire life.
You know what turned me off to Subway, and this was over 20 years ago? Record Collector in Iowa City, Iowa. It's a record store in downtown Iowa City, right next door to Subway. I would go to Record Collector, and the smell from the Subway restaurant made it into Record Collector and mixed with kind of the musty old vinyl smell. And when those two odors mingle, it is sickening.
That is the craziest thing, because Life told us a similar anecdote. He said that the reason he couldn't stand Subway is because when he was a kid and he had to go to the dentist office was next to Subway, and the fumes from Subway would filter into the consultory, and they mixed with the smell of the instruments.
Oh, yeah. Oh, blech. Like Subway on its own is probably okay, but you mix it with anything else and it's an instant turnoff. It was kind of sickening to me, so I was turned off to Subway. Wow. Well, and I'm also glad that you directed yourself to engage in the decadence of a Dee's burger as opposed to a quasi-healthy turkey sandwich.
Exactly.
Which you have to do when you're traveling. You just have to allow yourself the indulgences. I understand you guys also made it to Claypool Cellars.
Yes, we also did that annual tradition. We spoke with Cheney while we were there. It was brilliant. The wine kept coming. There were wieners as well. Unfortunately, no C-pop, as the tap seemed to have an issue, so it was just foam coming out. But maybe next year they'll
Yeah.
have C-pop because I've been dying to have one since 10 years ago.
Yes, it does sound delightful. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Pachyderm Station, not Claypool Cellars. You guys know
Yes,
what I'm
Pachyderm
talking about.
Station. And after that, we went to San Francisco for a bit. That was also brilliant. And while in San Francisco, I had yet another revelation. I also need to thank Kevin for this. The name of that revelation is Whole Foods.
Oh my gosh, your first Whole Foods experience.
My first Whole Foods experience.
You're getting the
Wow.
wow. You are getting the entire picture of U.S. capitalism at this point.
It is brilliant. Yes.
When can we expect you to open a Whole Foods in Mexico City?
I'll push for that. Yes.
Push for that. Well, it sounds like you had a great time in the lead up to the shows. And then December 30th, we had an evening with Primus at the Fox. I got in mid-afternoon, made it just in time to see the show and enjoy the pre-show festivities. What were your impressions of the 30th? Because these guys had been off for 4 months plus, and we're coming back to play their first show together in that amount of time.
They might as well have just wrapped up playing a show the night before because they were firing on all cylinders. They were an incredibly well-oiled machine.
They sure did sound fantastic, I have to say. As we entered the venue, it looked more like a standard Primus show. There were some clown things in the lobby, courtesy of Primus creative director Zoltron, who was getting the clown theme going. But when we made our way into the theater itself, it looked like a pretty standard stage setup with the video board. As the show unfolded, it looked like a standard Primus show, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course, because the visuals are there. The light show is fantastic at the Fox. The way the lights play on those gilded surfaces around the stage. I'm with you, Frankie. It felt like they were in the middle of a tour because they were rolling. And
Yeah.
the sound, I was actually on, I usually go to Lur's side, but I was on left side for the first set, and then more towards the middle for the second set. I don't know if there was an audio issue or it's just where I was standing. I thought, oh man, they need to turn Lur up. Although I think I say that all the time. But second set, it seemed to be resolved, whatever may have been happening. I heard him a lot better when I went towards the middle. But man alive, yeah, they sounded great. Of course, the audience was really excited to see them, you and I included. Oh, I didn't tell you this, Frankie. I snuck up on our Primatron, Jesse Colton.
Wow.
I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and then as we were trying to find our spot for the show, I ended up standing behind him, and I just waited for him to turn around, or at least catch me in his vision, for a good 5 minutes. He didn't move, so I finally tapped him on the shoulder and had a nice talk with him, and we enjoyed the first set together. Should we run down the set list from night one?
Yes. Strong opening with Tweakers.
Yeah.
Was kind of special because it was my first Tweakers with Hoff. My first show with
Right.
with Hoffer on drums overall.
Oh my God. How
And
did we not mention this? Yes, you got your first two Hoffer experiences.
he far surpassed my expectations. He was absolutely amazing.
Wow. Now you had watched video and listened to audio of Hoffer performing, so
But
did
it's not the
that-
same. No.
it's not the same yet. Did it clue you in though that you were in for something?
Yeah, I arrived with high expectations. I was very excited about this aspect about the performance that I mean, it's really crazy when you think about it. I had seen Primus with Brain the year before, and now I was about to see my favorite band with another drummer. So it was really fun in terms of dynamics and variety.
Oh, that's a great point. Consecutive New Year's Eves with Primus performed by two different drummers who you had
Yeah.
never seen before play live. Yeah. Yeah, opening with Tweakers, moving on to Hoffer's favorite Primus song, Dirty Drowning Man. He reiterated
That was a great surprise.
Yes.
I'm
Was
so
that your
glad,
first?
I'm so glad they followed with an anti-pop tune.
Was that your first Drowning Man?
No, it
Okay.
was my third ever Dirty Drowning Man,
Wow.
but my two previous experiences were performances with Jay Lane. So
Right.
two completely different things. Yes, night and day.
Certainly.
It's not. It doesn't come down exclusively to who's drumming. I
Hmm.
think Dirty Drowning Man has evolved live. So
Yes.
not just because of Hoffer, but in general, they play it different now than they used to play it over 10 years ago.
I think that's right. I'd have to listen to them side by side to compare, but they certainly they have a lot to work with on that one because there are multiple guitar tracks. I think the bass line has been altered a bit,
Yes. Yes.
but Hoffer really goes for it on that drum part. So after Drowning, we got Groundhog, Lur Santana. No surprises there. Good stuff.
Oh, but that was the craziest thing because when they jumped into Polka Dot Rose,
Mm.
the thought that came through my mind was, this sounds really great. I wonder if Lur and Hoffer would ever be open to learning a full Oysterhead song. That actually went through my mind. Yes.
Wow, you presaged it for the New Year's
Yes.
Eve surprise. I've seen enough of and heard enough of the live shows, and I've seen Groundhog with Polka Dot Rose a bunch at this point. You know, I knew it was coming, and it's kind of fun. So I didn't make too big a deal of it. Yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have thought, oh, there's Frankie getting his Oysterhead for the weekend or for the nights, and that would have been
A
it.
little fix. Yes.
Yeah, well, just a little. After Groundhog Day, we got a 7. I gotta say, I really like the 7 sprinkled into these sets. I think Hoffer, you know, it's hard to quantify, but I think his drum approach and his drum style really fits that tune.
It's nice to see that song peeping into the set lists because it means that the album has not been forgotten entirely.
Ah, yes. So you might get your Scheme, your Storm, your Trek at some point again in the future. You never know. After that was a rousing rendition of More on TV, which is one of my favorite live cuts from, say, post 2003.
I hadn't gotten More on TV since, well, my one and only performance was in 2013. So yeah, it had been a while. And it's certainly a song that I was eager to catch with Hoffer on drums. And this is something that I feel fortunate that I was able to tell him in person, that his drumming on this song is outstanding because he's got it down, but it's not a carbon copy of Jay Lane.
Yeah.
It's very tricky, isn't it? Because Les said that these songs have to be performed a certain way because fans have expectations. So you cannot get too overly creative with the drum lines, right? But at the same time, you cannot just copy everything that other drummers were doing because you need to print your own style. So if you think about those two things coexisting, it must be really challenging to perform these songs. And what I really enjoy about More on TV is that Hoffer peppers the song with all these feels and all these things that are not present either in the studio recording or in the live performances. But at the same time, it's still More on TV. The essence is intact.
Certainly, yes. He's not departing so far as to change the song. And with any of these songs, he's well within the framework, but he's using the flexibility that he has.
Yes, I wonder if at any point Hoeing for the Man was considered for the first set, because on the drawing, Les is saying hoeing for the man.
Yes, and
when Lur was shredding all those evil guitar lines before More on TV, I was almost sure they were going to jump into hoeing.
Yes, because the intro to Moron, Lur was playing a bunch of licks, and Les said something like, "Give it to him, Lur," and Lur was playing all kinds of crazy metal licks and wild guitar stuff. He was playing the strings, put the guitar up to his mouth and was playing the strings arena rock style. It was really funny. And then there was a moment, Lur had played a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and Les kind of looked at him and went, "You want to start the song?" And then after a beat, he said, "Oh, I start the song." and then they went into More on TV. After Moron, Frankie, we got you got your first pudding time with Hoffer, and I have to tell you, I believe that was only Hoffer's second pudding time, because from our onward and upward tour stats sheet that I had put together, there was only one performance of that last summer.
You are correct.
So you got one of the very first pudding times with Hoffer, and That was a rousing rendition, and I will say that was a surprise for the evening, given that they had only done it once prior. So that was a welcome addition to the set list. Highly energetic. And then they rounded it out with a third Frizzle Fry tune in Herald of the Rocks, which is a great set closer. We've talked about it as an opener and how fun it is as an opener, but as a set closer, it does have that air of finality to it, and I think that's a crowd favorite. How was it for you?
It was fantastic. It reminded me that my New Year's Eve 2016 was very Seas of Cheese heavy, and this was Frizzle Fry heavy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Never. So Harold closed out set 1. We got a nice 20-minute break. I was fortunate enough, Frankie, to get our pal Carla's seats upstairs for the second set because I'd had a long travel day, so it was really nice to be seated for the majority of the second set and have a really good sight line to the stage up there in the mezzanine. I will say during the second set, everybody was, staying seated and doing what they do. But there was one guy, Frankie, in the middle of the loge area. He was standing almost the entire time. And during many of these second set tunes, he had his phone on selfie mode. He would turn it towards the band for a few seconds, and then he would turn it back towards himself and then put it as close as he could to his mouth so that the camera could still see his mouth, and he was just saying God knows what to his phone, pretty much making out with the thing. I don't know if he was recording. The morbid side of me really wants to hear what he had to say during those songs. I don't want to watch it because I saw it in real time and it was kind of yucky, but maybe that's on YouTube somewhere. And you're the guy that is always looking for the Primus video, so have fun with that one if you find it.
Wow. That's okay.
That's one way to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Set 2 kicked off with a fromage version of Cheese, which was quite welcome. That's really fun to hear with Hoffer. They followed that up with a good old The Toys Go Winding Down, also a really fun one live. At that point, we'd had 4 tunes from Frizzle Fry, but we were getting a nice variety, and we're settling in. These guys are doing great. And then we get our first Brown album tune of the experience with Fisticuffs. Were any of these tunes you hadn't heard in a while, Frankie, in a live setting?
No. But with Hoffer, yes.
Of course, yes. Then we get to what I would consider a really strong run of pork tunes in the second set, starting with the old Diamondback Sturgeon. And I am proudly wearing the reissue of that shirt design that they had at the merch booth. I got to say, Frankie, when I saw that, I always check out the booth. And if there's something really unique or special, I'll probably go for it. But this is definitely the one. I had to get that long sleeve with the sturgeon design on it from 30 years ago.
I couldn't believe this combo, actually, because, well, it was my first sturgeon ever.
First ever. Yeah. Congratulations.
First ever. I had never caught sturgeon live before, so that was a fantastic surprise. And Bob is incredibly rare, as you are aware. But the craziest thing here is that, well, I don't know if I had mentioned to you before that the soundtrack for all my running is Primus.
That's right.
Yeah, and over the last few months, that is actually a combination that I have been doing, listening to live recordings from Fromage and Hallucinogenetics of Sturgeon, followed by Bob, back to back. I somehow realized that it was a very cool combination. So that's something that I have been doing for a few months. So it's the craziest thing that they just performed those two back to back.
Sturgeon was performed 10 times on Onward and Upward, so it was pretty common. Bob was only performed 1 time. That's a new one in terms of the Hoffer playlist. So it was great to get those two back to back. After Bob, we got the surprise of the evening, I'd imagine.
A full Hello Skinny.
First full Hello Skinny since 2017, I understand.
Yes, and not only that, but it was like just busted out in the middle of the set.
Yeah.
It used to be part of other songs, like Puppies, for example.
Right. It had its own spot. It was the first time in quite a long time. It was not printed on the set list. I wonder if they were initially going to save it for the 31st, and Les just said, let's do it tonight. So they inserted that, and that was a great surprise. Of course, a Residents cover is always welcome, given how creepy it is.
Yes.
Really, really great stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And then that led into the Welcome Mud medley. And I have to pause here because it's funny because actually anywhere you go, the crowd loves Mud and Jerry. But I think the loudest cheer of the night was the slide down into the first iteration of the Mud lick. The crowd just went absolutely nuts. It was the loudest they were all night. It was something else. And then that pit. I mean, the pit had been moving, but it really got going for the Mud Jerry combo to round out set 2. It was really fun to see that from up above and just watch the crowd become an undulating sea of humanity. It was great. Did you get jostled down there, Frankie? You weren't on the floor, but you were really close to the floor.
I was close enough to see all the insanity throughout both nights in terms of mosh pits, but I was pretty safe.
Oh, good. Yeah, there were crowd surfers. There were people just slamming each other to the floor. It was a big one. So we got the Mud Jerry combo to round out the second set. What was interesting is they left a lot on the table, and what I mean is they knew they were doing 2 nights, and a lot of people were going to be there both nights. I figured, some of these staples we didn't get tonight, we'll get tomorrow. Because they're portioning them out. Makes perfect sense. And then they came back for an encore, Frankie, all dobro in terms of Les's equipment. Larry had been playing one of his Fenders the majority of the night. He came back out with that for a 3-song encore, which went Over the Falls, Amos Moses, and Here Come the Bastards, which was on the dobro. Which I thought was kind of funny.
I believe the first Bastards on the dobro.
Wow. First one I'm aware of. Was that your first Amos Moses?
Yes.
Wow. A big night of firsts.
It was delightful because I love that cover. It's one of my favorite Primus covers ever. Well, it's hard to cite a favorite song on Rhinoplasty because Family and the Fishing Net is so epic, but it's up there with my favorites. So yeah. It was really fantastic to see them perform that live. For a moment, when it was time for the encore, for a moment, I was thinking that they were just going to fill the space with Pachyderm and be done for the night. So when they began Over the Falls, I thought, okay, they can either jump into Live and Cleave or they can bust out Amos Moses. And I was so pleasantly surprised.
I think we were all expecting Lee Van Cleef after Falls. Les probably knew that and pulled the rug out from under us. So that was night 1. I should say the event print by Zoltron, fantastic. He has done the Little Golden Book parodies before with Let's Trip with Primus and Let's Summon Primus, yes. Which are both just excellent examples of Zoltron's wit and work. This one was in the same vein, and it was subtitled Welcome to This World, and these 2 kids had tabs of acid on their tongues, and we're clearly seeing things. I did notice, I don't know if a lot of people notice, but if you have your poster with you, near the bottom left corner, you will see an inscription that says For Lur. That's interesting. I think we should all do more things for Lur. Merch booth was, of course, the line was miles long. I was lucky to get this Sturgeon shirt. The event shirt was a white T-shirt with as a yellow ringer with the event illustration on it, which I thought was great because it used the old Brown Album P logo. They brought that back. There was a lot of stuff from previous tours. Pretty good selection up there, Frankie. Did you imbibe of the merch booth?
I did grab a fentanyl single to replace the damaged sleeve sent to you by Revolver.
Ah, yes. Good old Revolver. Not a sponsor of this podcast, in fact. They are now
not dealing with Revolver ever again. I think Brooklyn Beacon took better care of the parcels.
Revolver, sworn enemy of Primus Tracks. So that was night 1, a delightful experience, which leads us to December 31st. We knew that Puddles was opening, and so I, of course, had my suspicions for what he might do with Primus. Now, I had never seen Puddles perform as a solo artist before. I'm pretty sure I saw him with Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox years ago, but that memory is fuzzy. But Knowing that he toured with Weird Al Yankovic, I had an idea of what Puddles was going to bring, and so I was quite delighted, I should say, not entirely surprised, but quite delighted at the breadth of his set and the visuals that accompanied it. There was a lot of funny. There was a lot of funny stuff in there.
Yeah, I don't know what the fixation is with Kevin Costner, but it was hilarious.
I had no idea that was a running gag. That was great.
And that pumpkin song was superb. I really enjoyed that because it reminded me of Pumpkin Picking Time, of course.
Of course. Now, are you familiar with the original Let's Give Him Something to Talk About?
No.
I cannot recall if it's a Bonnie Raitt original, but it does appear on a Bonnie Raitt record that my mom played a lot when I was a kid. So I remember that song very well. So we went into that. I got a kick out of it. Of course, as Primus does, for December 31st, there was a lot more going on. I don't know if you made it to the lobby, but there were clowns, Frankie. There were clowns out there.
There were clowns all over?
There were clowns in the lobby. They were running around. They were accosting people. They accosted the two people who were dressed as Tsunami, the Zoltron mascot, for lack of a better term. Our pal Val was one of the Tsunamis, and she said as soon as she walked in, they saw her, and all the clowns just kind of gathered around her and started making cooing noises at her.
Wow.
That would be very unsettling. These clowns weren't dressed in an intimidating or terrifying fashion, but if you're scared of clowns, or even remotely do not enjoy crowds or being crowded by people, that's got to be off-putting. But that's what happens when you're Tsunami and it's New Year's Eve.
On the 31st, I did run into a guy that was set up as Koki the Clown, the alter ego of Fat Mike from NoFX. He told me that I was only the second person that had recognized who he was.
Oh, I didn't see that guy. I definitely would have recognized that.
Well, his getup was really incredible. He looked just like Fat Mike.
He didn't make it up on stage for the costume contest, did he?
No, he was not selected.
Oh, bummed I didn't see him.
I was expecting the contest to be a bigger affair, but it was kind of a blink and miss it moment.
Oh, certainly between sets, yeah. There was a lot of clown stuff going on before the show, and then a lot of people in clown costumes during the show, of course, and in the audience. And then they were a handful were selected for the contest. And it was between sets. There wasn't much fanfare to it. You're right. The curtain was closed. Puddles led them onto the stage, and it was measured by audience reaction as to the winner. And the winner, that costume was pretty great. And that person won a signed waffle maker for their efforts.
Yes.
Harkening back to the Frog Brigade trivia, VIP trivia of 2023. I did notice, too, when the Primus set started, the curtains opened, there was some more equipment on stage, although I couldn't place what they were. We found out later. But I thought Puddles singing Send in the Clowns alone on stage was a fantastic way to bring Primus in. It just fits so well with Clown Dream after it.
But I don't know if you noticed that it was the first time ever that they synced the Pee-wee footage with the soundtrack.
I was going to ask you if that was the first time, because that's the first time I had ever seen it.
Yes, first time, and it was so compelling.
Of course, you have to clear that. So it costs money. I'm guessing that's why we had never seen it on the video board until this moment.
So well.
Oh, it worked beautifully. I hope they can clear it for future performances because it really sets the tone. Then Primus takes the stage, and we're off and running. And we got a surprise opener, at least to me, with the title track to Antipop, the Antipop. How cool is that?
My first Antipop opener ever. I never thought I would say that.
You remember when we talked with Les for the first time on the podcast, he said Antipop is one of those tunes that feels really good to play because he can really dig into it. And so that being a secondary opener to Tweakers makes all the sense in the world. Because I think he has those two in consideration for an opener. And of course, there are plenty of other openers that will put him in that mindset, but Antipop, it seems, is high on the list at this point. A spirited performance too. I like that track. I really like it live.
I was enjoying it so much, but also had very high expectations for the bridge, and Huff delivered. He certainly did.
On the elongated drum fill.
Yes.
It sure sounded like the Brain version to my amateur ears. They followed that up with Last Salmon Man. Salmon Man, if we look at all the set lists, we would see that it's quite common to see it in the second slot. And then they followed that up with American Life, another live staple. That one I think was longer than what they've been doing recently. But of course, as you and I have discussed many times, the payoff is worth the wait.
Absolutely. And the visuals were fantastic as well.
Yes. Oh, we didn't discuss the visuals. A lot of the new visuals were in place from the Onward and Upward tour. They also added poster art from Zoltron for the event.
Yes.
In spots. Other than that, I'm not certain that I caught anything that I didn't see in Sacramento in August, although I could certainly be wrong. Because my attention was split between the video board, the light show, and then what the band members were doing. So I may have missed something. But really great visuals in American Life. And then, of course, we got the treat of Little Lord Fentanyl. I'm going to guess that was your first Fentanyl.
My first Fentanyl, yes.
My first Fentanyl sounds like a nice little golden book for Zoltron to illustrate. And that led into a couple of tracks that were played as a surprise at Claypool Gold, and then continued with Hoffer on Onward and Upward in Rest and Bones and Bob's Party Time Lounge. It was great to see those again.
Yes. I will always enjoy that combination live.
Bones is really great. It's a groover. You're locked in, and you can just bob along with it for a little while. They know not to have that tune wear out its welcome, so it's in and out. They play it straight for the most part. And then Bob's Party Time, that's a bopper. How'd the pit go for Bob's? Probably not as crazy as, say, Mud.
The pit was absolutely insane throughout the night. I mean, on both nights, people were even moshing to Over the Falls the night before. So that should give you an idea of how crazy it was.
I think the crowd always gets a little extra spicy on the 31st.
Yeah.
So you probably saw some things. One of many surprises on the night after Bob's Party Time Lounge was Hamburger Train. Yes.
Yep.
Ugh, and I love a Hamburger Train.
Tell me if I'm remembering inaccurately, but didn't Les jump straight into the bass line and then the visuals followed?
I think the Hamburger video footage was a bit tardy.
Yeah.
Was it that one? I think it may have been.
Yeah, because usually it starts with the footage of the film, and then the bass line kicks in. But this time, Les went into the baseline first.
He's not giving McHugh any time to make it happen. Poor Jason McHugh on the video
keeping him
board.
on his toes. Yeah.
We got to say hi to Jason. Great guy. Great to speak with him. After Hamburger Train, this is where the set list deviates, Frankie, because after Hamburger Train, on your printed set list, is NIB. And that was one of the two tunes, of course, that I suspected we'd get with Puddles. NIB and Holy Diver. Those came to fruition, but NIB was slotted, and it had stars around the letters NIB, which indicated to me that's the Midnight song. We were well short of midnight by the end of Hamburger Train. So Les inserted Hello Skinny again, which was awesome to get 2 nights in a row, having been so long. And that's why I wondered if they were planning it for the 31st and said the hell with it and played it both nights. After Hello Skinny, Too Many Puppies, a rousing rendition of Too Many Puppies, and then a surprise mid-set To Defy the Laws of Tradition. Holy smokes. Hamburger Train was only played twice on Onward and Upward. Puppies was played 10 times, so less than half of the shows. And To Defy was only played 3 times on Onward and Upward. So we're in single digits on so many of these tunes for Hoffer. It's really impressive how locked in and how well he's playing these. You know he's rehearsed like a madman, but playing them for the second and third time, they sound like they're meant to be.
The night wouldn't have been complete without Duchess, because that's a signature Hoffer track now.
Absolutely, and I will not stand for this NIB erasure, Frankie. We have to talk Midnight.
Yeah.
To Defy was great though because it has that elongated outro, and that's what allowed Les to time the Midnight countdown so well. So you could see the noodling on the outro with the To Defy the Laws of Tradition refrain. It looked like he was watching a clock somewhere or getting information somewhere, and then they wrapped that up. He started playing the solo that prefaces NIB. Then he did the New Year's countdown, balloons falling from the sky, and then that extra equipment came to life with the.
I must be honest here and say that I really dislike the balloons. What about you?
Oh, well, I mean, they're popping, they're bouncing around in your way. As far as your eye line to the stage, I don't mind it because I know it's part of the pageantry of New Year's Eve and the stroke of midnight. But it can detract from what's going on stage. I was really excited to see NIB with Puddles because that is one of my favorite Sabbath songs. So glad we got it and that Puddles was his game. And then after that, with the flying, the used car lot wavy things that were on stage and the balloons and all that good stuff. We got NIB, Puddles walks off, and then we get Duchess, as you said, which is becoming a Hoffer standard. Great drum solo. Hoffer reposted his drum solo from somebody's footage, so you can see it on Instagram on Hoffer's account. And then we got yet another surprise that I'm guessing nearly knocked you to the floor.
Absolutely, because when Liz began teasing I don't know if I could refer to it as a bass line or the intro, very atmospheric noises from the song, I instantly recognized it and I said, wait.
Yep, those harmonics.
This sounds really familiar. And I remember I turned around and I said to Mickey, it's Shadow of a Man. And the disbelief on his face was exactly the same that I was experiencing. I thought it would just be a tease and then it would develop into something else. But when Les officially began the bass line, and when I realized it was because there were visuals on stage and Lur and Hoffer were ready to go, and that first verse kicked in, I was like, oh my God, I am witnessing Shadow of a Man live.
Yeah. I predicted the future.
Yes. It was a fantastic rendition. I think for Les, it was probably a stroll in the park, but I think both Lur and Hoffer were assigned some very, very complex shoes to fill. In terms of Lur, you have to adapt your playing to something very idiosyncratic and very particular as Trey Anastasio. And in terms of Hoffer, I mean, you have to play a Stuart Copeland drumline. It can't get more intimidating than that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that poor guy. He's had to learn Brain, Jay Lane, and Tim Alexander drum parts, and Les goes, Copeland. Yeah, just you can learn this. It's just Stu.
and the thing is that it's such an out of the ordinary song as well. I mean, it's not a very straightforward thing to learn. It's actually very unusual.
It's very down tempo and theatrical, I'm sure, as we discussed when we did our episode on the track. So that one was the biggest surprise of the night, and I knew from my vantage point that you were freaking out. Whether
Big time.
Now I couldn't see you from where I was, but I knew it was happening. What a surprise!
Les did mention at the Q&A before the show that Claypool Gold is touring this summer.
So I would say this may be a staple of that tour.
That's exactly what I was going to tell you. Claypool Gold is a free for all. Everything is possible. So it makes me wonder if they would go through the trouble of rehearsing and learning a Oysterhead song in such a perfect way, just to keep it as a one-off on New Year's Eve, or if they'll actually bust it out on tour during the summer, because that's precisely what happened, right? With Party Time Lounge and Resting Bones.
And Wonka.
They were premiered on New Year's Eve after a long time, but then they became staples during the following year. So who knows? Maybe this summer iteration of Claypool Gold will feature some Oysterhead material.
You never know. I mean, if it goes down well on New Year's Eve, is it really going to be a one-off?
Exactly.
You have to ask yourself that question. The set was rounded out by Julie's on Smack and Winona's Big Brown Beaver, We didn't get a ton of
particularly
upright.
aggressive rendition of Bieber from my perspective.
I wanted to mention that on To Defy as well. Some of these were really up-tempo. To Defy, Beaver wasn't necessarily fast, but it was certainly moving. They were cooking on that one. That rounded out the set. So we got 15 tunes. Then they came back for two more. And this is where we deviate from the set list again. Tommy the Cat was on the set list after Beaver, but they dropped Beaver in favor of Holy Diver in the encore, with Puddles, of course, some expert guitar solos by Lur, and ended the New Year's experience with, you guessed it, Southbound Pachyderm. That was a 17-song journey on the 31st.
18 if you count Send in the Clowns with Puddles.
I'm counting it.
That's even though we had an opening slot, which we didn't have the previous night. So this was not an evening with, but it was still a pretty long show, I think.
Definitely. I think it was about 2 hours. Going on 2 hours at any rate. Oh, you know what we forgot to mention was the Grannies. On the 30th, Les was talking about the Grannies.
Yes.
That was interesting. He stopped the show to talk about two grannies, one of them being the grandmother of his children, his mother-in-law. They call her Granny Smith, he said. But then he talked about Granny, his neighbor out in his woodsy cabin somewhere. He's met and befriended, and I'm guessing Granny has lived out in the wilderness for much of her life. But he even had a photo of her on the video board from, I think he said 1976 or something, and he said that she was there that night on the 30th, and it was the second music concert of her life. Isn't that something?
What an experience.
What an experience. Imagine your second concert being Primus.
Wow.
And you're a granny who's, I don't know, 70-something years old, and you live out in the woods. That would be a very foreign place to be. That was cool that he dedicated the show on the 30th to the grannies. Overall, Frankie, only one repeat, Hello Skinny, which had not been performed in 8 years, so works for me.
So that's okay.
Works for me, absolutely. How do you find these set lists now, a handful of days after experiencing them?
I find them scrumptious.
Scrumdiddly-umptious even, huh?
Yes.
Soya said something very insightful a long time ago about how we fans treat these songs like
baseball cards.
Collector cards. And
so from that perspective, I can say I walked home with a Honus Wagner, which is Shadow of a Man.
Yes, and I think I got a Mickey Mantle or a Willie Mays in the mix with NIB and Holy Diver. I know they're not Primus songs, but they are covers that they've performed before. And Shadow of a Man is definitely a Honus Wagner. That's a great comparison.
Yep.
People are asking for opinions on the shows, and the descriptor I continually used, Frankie, was spirited. I said these were two spirited nights, high energy. These guys are all happy to be there. They're in great moods. They're playing so well.
Yeah.
Les even kind of paused things to point out that he really loves watching Hoffer play drum solos because he just smiles ear to ear the entire time. So, spirits were high all the way around. It was a great time. I've been to a handful of New Year's doubleheaders at this point, and this ranks right up there with the best of them.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So if you missed it, we wish you could have been there. If you were there, you probably have something to say about it. Yes, that could only mean one thing. It's time for Primate's Takes. If you want your takes on the track or the live performances up for discussion, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/Primus Tracks. There are many tiers of support over there, but the one constant is Primate's Takes. And Frankie, we were blessed to see so many of our Primatrons at New Year's Eve. Some of them were going for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 20th time. Some of them were first-timers. And I believe that these shows really held up for them. Let's hear what they have to say. We start with Trish. Trish says, I really appreciated that people could be present and take in Les's story about his grannies. in attendance, I thought about one of my grannies and remembered how silly she would always be and imagined her at the show dancing her favorite Charleston dance with me. I loved seeing everyone soften and really start to notice the sacred and the ordinary all around them. We got not one but two Oysterhead covers. Even the giant inflatable tube guys were dressed as clowns. So grateful. Best band ever.
Trish, I loved your outfit on the 30th, but I just couldn't see you on the 31st, so I wonder what you dressed up as. Yes.
Trish is a person of many talents, and costuming is a superpower of Trish's. Marcus Mayall says, I was not able to make it, but my best friend FaceTimed me during the show, and I got to catch a couple of tunes. I gotta say, both nights' set lists combined were amazing. All the videos I've seen were rad, especially the drum solo. I had to work, but looking forward to a great new year. So Marcus was there, in a way. Our pal Jesse Colton says, like fine wine, these guys get better with age. Hoffer seemed to be having the time of his life, and we love to see it. Love that they're hitting the deep cuts, and Amos Moses was a real delight on night one. I didn't know I needed a Dirty Drowning Man in my life, but once it arrived, life got so much better. I dig that bass. That one made my dad turn to me and go, man, he's good. Pops also dug Amos Moses. Diamondback Sturgeon is near and dear to my heart and love that it's a set list regular now. You should all know, during the intro to Harold, Josh was the only one who remembered to yell, what was it? And that's true. I heard
a couple of those yells near my area. Yes.
Oh, okay. One of them might have been me. I yelled it really loud. Mickey Waters, who spent some of the show around Frankie, said, totally worth it. I'm still winding down from the excitement. Oh, like a toy. I can't believe how perfect everything worked out. I flew out solo with the blind faith I'd actually meet up with all you Primatrons. Needless to say, you all came through way beyond my expectations. Got to visit Dee's Diner and Pachyderm Station, went to Amoeba in San Francisco. Frankie generously helped me out on New Year's Eve. He ends with, the shows were incredible, but I gotta say, I think hanging out with all the fans and Primatrons was the main highlight for me. You were also amazingly welcoming and awesome.
We had a great time hanging out with Mickey. Thank you so much. Yes, Mickey, I really enjoyed our time together.
Cam Covington says, tons of firsts for me. Amos, Bob, Hamburger Train, Fentanyl, Pudding Time, Shadow of a Man. First and second, Hello Skinny. And last but most certainly not least, my first to Defy. Ooh, right before the ball drop. Chatted with Johnny about this. Absolutely legendary. That's Johnny who does our Primates Takes theme. Really hard to top last year's, but this year was no slouch. Brooks Delight. Frankie made his first New Year's trip and said, absolutely fantastic. It was so fun to finally participate in this magical evening. It was a blast meeting you all. Thanks to Frankie once again for the Pork Soda record. I forgot that he won that record. The whole trip was super rad and everything was coming up Brooks. I'd like to thank you once again for letting me hang with you all across the bay. The big standouts from the show, definitely Shadow of a Man, Hello Skinny, and of course NIB. The only disappointment was the absence of one Bob C. Cock.
Oh, well, he was there, but not on stage.
Adam Gates was there. Bob Cock was not. Eric in Australia, Frankie says, and this was at the stroke of midnight in San Francisco while he was in Australia, I was fishing like a true Primus fan. He's got us there. Sculligan Val says, the clowns mobbed me. I thought I was dead. But when the music started, my soul actually left my body. It is still floating in the ether. And John Shreve, who found me in the crowd, thank you, John, says the 30th was amazing, other than missing out on a poster and thus not wanting to wait for the Sturgeon shirt. I did not find Frankie, but Josh, great to meet you in person. Hope everyone got home safe. Seeing Skinny, Bob, Groundhog, more on TV was great. He typed first time in tears, but I think he means first time in years. I didn't get a Pachyderm closer, which was refreshing. Definitely want to come back next year. First time in tears changes that completely. So I'm going to go with first time in years. Thank you, John. It was good to meet you. It was great to see all the great Primatrons. What a fantastic group of people. It's really hard to get to everybody at those shows, Frankie, because we're seeing people from the Patreon. We're seeing friends of ours from other shows and contexts. It was great to see so many familiar faces.
Agreed.
What an experience. I couldn't be more excited for 2026. We know Claypool Gold is coming. We know there's a CLD album on the way.
Yes.
Primus is going to Europe for the first time in a long time. We can cross our fingers that perhaps Primus will make their way into the studio at some point in 2026. But I'm pretty stoked for what we already know.
Before wrapping up, I would like to extend my appreciation to the band for enhancing my life with their music and being the prime reason why I travel and the reason that I get to meet so many cool people and have such a great time. Celebrate New Year's in the most out of the ordinary experiences possible. I had a really great time this New Year's Eve. I think it could very well have been my best New Year's Eve to date. Not only because of the sets and the music, but because of all the experiences that surrounded this trip in particular. I am extremely grateful I got to say hello to Hoffer and relay some of my thoughts about the performance with him. And I will never forget the look on his face as we were having a conversation.
Did he hear everything you had to say as you were chasing him to the bus and telling him all this stuff? Okay, good. Yeah.
Yes. And then he was watching me through the window. Yes.
And you were holding up placards with all your questions, right?
Yes.
Text me your answers, Hoffer.
Thank you, Cheney and Shane, for being so accommodating every time we meet and for being so warm. And mostly, I would like to personally extend my thanks to Sanchez for enhancing so deeply and so richly our New Year's Eve experience, both you and I.
Yes, 100%.
We're forever in debt. So thank you so much to everyone who made this New Year's Eve unforgettable.
Yeah. Big ups to the band, their families, and the crew. And I need to shout out Sanchez, too. His hospitality is top shelf. I've wanted to ask him this. I want to know what his step counter looks like at the end of a show day, because that man never stops. He is everywhere all at once. Thanks, Sanchez.
If I had to synthesize this New Year's travel experience into only 5 words,
you only get 4. I'm only kidding.
4?
No, you get 5. Go ahead. I like you.
Okay, so it would be Shadow of a Man, Power Walks, Whole Foods, Ike Sandwiches, Amos Moses.
That's a lot more than 5 words, but I'll give you 5 phrases. How about that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Glad we agree on that. Primates, primatrons, people of Earth, thank you all so much for listening. Here's to 2026. I think it's going to be a great Primus Claypool, you name it, year.
Just as a little extra before we leave.
Okay.
There is a possibility. I mean, it's not something certain, but there's a possibility we may see some new masks in the Colonel's repertoire.
Oh my me.
Yes, House of Masks was commissioned with creating some new replacements of the Mr. Crinkle and Long Nose masks. I guess they were just worn out after all these years. So let's have those ready for New Year's Eve. But they did mention that they sent him a box full of potential new masks for him to wear.
Road life is rough, even on vinyl masks.
Yes.
Good to know. That's a nice teaser, Frankie. Thanks. All right, let's get out of here. Later days.
Willie Mays.